Good day, awesome YouTubers. It is Lollyman16 here again for another Mob Psycho 100 episode review. This episode is episode 11, entitled Master. And first of all, I gotta say, this is a very exciting episode and probably the best episode yet of Mob Psycho 100, in my opinion. So it's basically, we're still on this kind of arc thing. We leave off, well, at least we start this episode where we left off last time, but it's a little bit different. We see Reagan actually driving in a taxi cab all the way to this remote location because Mob obviously has not called in for work. So he comes in there and he meets the some lackey claw members, and they talk a little bit, and he gets them to believe that he is actually the boss because he arrived there, and there's a bunch of talking, but essentially he's like a con artist, and they reveal why he's like that in the later on in the episode. So all the lackeys think he's the actual boss, and then he's asking about the place and where's Mob, and what's going on, and so they lead him inside. He eventually meets up with the other Esper children, um, and he basically tells the other claw members that, hey, you guys are doing wrong things, and they're like, oh, we're just following orders, but no, he's the Mob, and excuse me, he's the boss, and it's really funny here. I found the first part of the episode to be really funny. You should really go check it out. It's really funny how Reagan interacts with everybody, and of course everybody actually believes him. They thought he was an outsider at first, but he, you know, he eventually gets them to believe that he's the actual boss, the boss of even Ishiguro. And who Ishiguro is? Well, he's the Division 7 leader. As I explained a couple episodes ago, I couldn't remember what his name was, but it's Ishiguro, so I know. A little bit of plot, side thing going on here. I think that other claw member, I don't know what his name is. He kind of gets into a scuffle with the guy with the katana, Ishiguro, and the other high-ranking people within the 7th Division. He gets kind of in a squabble with them, so they all decide to go out and to essentially take care of Mob and the rest of the gang since Mob is out. There's a really emotional scene where Mob and Ritsu are talking, and they show a flashback of when Mob and Ritsu were kids, and basically they're discussing like basically what happens here is when they were young, Mob and Ritsu got lost, so they don't know where to go, but uh, it was actually Ritsu who found the way how to get home because he's really smart and he learned in science class. So eventually, this leads Mob to believe that without his psychic powers, he can't do anything. Like, psychic powers is all he relies on, and of course, that whole scene, that whole kind of relationship between Mob and Ritsu reemerges. Anyway, after this, Mob finally meets up with his master Shisho Reagan, and they talk for a little bit, and there's kind of some funny dialogue between them and everyone. Hanazawa meets Reagan too, and uh, the other lackeys tell Mob that he's the boss, and it's a very very funny yet complicated scene which happens here. Eventually, they lead up to a fight, and the fight is between Mob, Hanazawa, and Ritsu, and of course Reagan, versus Ishiguro and the other remaining claw members. It's a pretty intense fight, but they're obviously losing. Um, Hanazawa and Ritsu tell Mob to go 100%, to try and get out of this, because at this rate they're gonna die. But Reagan is there to tell him that you cannot do that. You cannot use your powers on another person, and it is okay to run away if you're in a tight position. There was one scene where Mob almost goes 100%, but we cut away to a flashback of when Mob was just a child and meets Reagan for the first time, saying that he wants to learn how to control his power, and he thinks, well, I mean, Reagan, you must be like me, you know. And so Reagan tells him that, you know, even though you have psychic powers, you're no less of a ningen, or you're no less of a human, and you should not use your powers, and etc. etc. And so basically in that flashback we get the revelation that Mob will quote unquote learn to use his powers when he visits Reagan every day. But of course, we all know that Reagan doesn't have any power, but he's just doing this for, you know, like he's a con man basically. That's what he does. He's a troll. So, but he's a good troll, I would say, because he taught Mob some great lessons, and of course, Mob respects him a lot for that. So that's where we leave off the episode. One final epic scene. Well, it's not really epic, but it's going to be epic. I'm sure of it. Is when the guy with the katana slices Reagan right in the back, and Reagan is now out. And so there is literally no hope left. No one to tell Mob that you can't use your full power. Most likely next episode, I can already tell from the preview, Mob is going to go uses all powers. He's going to go 100%, and he's going to do it with murderous intent. So I'm really hyped. I thought episode was great. Action sequences were pretty awesome too. A lot of destruction in this one. Cool scenes with Hanazawa trying to fend off the katana guy with a pole, and some stuff with Ritsu using barriers. Really cool stuff. One final thing, Ishiguro, the 7th Division leader, apparently he has powers of gravity. It's almost like Tatsumaki from One Punch Man. I know I'm making a lot of One Punch Man references, but it's also almost like that, where Ishiguro uses like black dark orbs, and they can basically he can vary the gravity within them to destroy a lot of stuff. Really cool stuff here. I'm really hoping that, well, I'm not hoping, but I know basically this is going to be an epic fight, Mob versus the rest of the gang, and I can't wait to see what happens. That's it for my review, guys. Thank you all for watching, for listening. I don't know. Let's see. Dragon Ball Super comes back this week, and the manga chapter 16 also recently came out, so I might do a review on that. Stay tuned for that. Follow me on Twitter if you haven't already, because I will post all my videos right there. Also, so please follow me on Twitter if you haven't, guys, for more content and more stuff every day. Stay awesome, everybody, and have a good one.